Have you ever been reading some creepy urban legends and alleged lost episodes like Sonic.exe and Squidward's Unalive? Or any scary stories of Slender Man or Unalive Mouse? Well, there has been this other.exe, no other than not even one of my friends or colleagues talk about it, and it was horrifying. It was elegy actual reason Sam Register left Cartoon Network at 2006. All I could say is, what the internet said about his departure was from now getting more dead Cartoon Network was a lie. There's more to it. Me and my girlfriend, Lainey Trent, were at interns at Cartoon Network. It was no surprise that this one takes place just after the last episode of Hi Hi Puffy AmiYumi was aired on Friday night. Me and the other workers and 4 interns, including Lainey and myself, were at the animation room trying to work on which TV series would be Cartoon Network's first brand new series, but nothing came up. One of the Cartoon Network workers entered with a DVD case. "Who is this from?" I asked. "Doesn't say," the worker shrugged as he gave me the DVD. When we opened the DVD case, it was a clear disc that said in typical black permanent marker, AmiYumi.EXE. We were skeptical as one of them bursting out laughter at this was some sort of Sonic.exe style prank to scare us. But he put the DVD in without hesitation as Lainey, who had an uneasy feeling, trying to persuade him not to put it in. He did anyways. The worker, who we called Todd, just turned on the TV after placing the disc in the DVD player. We were not prepared by what we saw on that DVD. Like that ghost in Lavender Town, it goes bad, real bad. The screen lit up with the company logos and whatnot. At first it played the AmiYumi intro, but there was a difference. The real Ami and Yumi were not in the scene like they did just before the intro played. We didn't pay attention to that much. Anyways, the intro basically stopped midway, as if the intro was not finished in time. Something suddenly flashed on the screen which made us all jump in shock. Todd paused and rewound for a frame or two. What we saw made us gasp in horror. The frame was of Yumi covered, her eye was bleeding, or at least that's what I thought. However, unlike all those stories you heard, it wasn't realistic blood, it was cartoon blood. Actual cartoon blood. She had the same glare that Sonic.exe had, however hers was filled with pure hate and rage. "Whoa, is this some sort of sick joke?" another colleague asked in shock. Not one is us answered. Todd played the DVD, and that was when it began. The show began when Ami and Yumi were playing a concert in what looked like New Orleans, Louisiana. However, something was different about it. The people in the crowd were either dressed up in Haiti-style clothes or costumes that you'd see in a horror film-style masquerade ball. Weird, why is everyone in costumes? I asked with a weird, confused look. "I don't know, Sharon. Maybe it's a Mardi Gras celebration," Lainey replied while looking. "I don't know, Lainey. I highly doubt it," I answered quietly. "Maybe it's a Halloween special. Who knows?" Another intern suggested with a shrug. But when Ami and Yumi finished their song, they thanked the crowd for their time. However, when the scene changed to the crowd clapping in regular style pace, I saw someone standing out of the crowd. I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. It had a black and maroon cloak with Plague Doctor mask style to cover said individual's face. It transitioned to Yumi packing up her guitar and then turns to look at said individual with the Plague Doctor mask. It transcribed to Yumi with the masked figure while ghostly female siren-like song was playing in the background. She had this blank expression on her face, and on the 5th time the figure appeared, we could have sworn that it had blood-glowing eyes. But then Ami placed a hand on her shoulder while saying her name, which snapped Yumi back to reality. She asked if Yumi was okay, which Yumi replied with a yes. She just appeared like herself, like nothing had happened. Ami suggested they go out to celebrate Mardi Gras before Kaz, their cheapskate shorty manager, called to them. Ami walked off, but Yumi stayed behind and saw the figure was gone from the slowly dispersed crowd. Who was that creep? She asked herself. The scene then changed to a Mardi Gras party. Well, you were lame. It's a Mardi Gras, I said. Told you so, Lainey said. Anyways, everyone was in the same costumes as earlier. Ami was in some sort of pink and yellow ball gown with a matching masquerade ball mask, talking to another masked woman. As if on cue, Harmony, Ami, and Yumi's annoying number one fan shows up. Ani hesitantly greeted her and then asked, "What are you doing here, Harmony? Are you here to see our concert we just did?" "Well, yes and no," Harmony answered. I noticed Harmony was wearing some sort of voodoo doll costume. "What do you mean?" Ami asked in confusion. "Yes, I did see your concert, but no, I'm not here just for that," Harmony answered. Ami blinked in confusion and asked why she was in New Orleans. "I'm visiting my grandma for the summer," Harmony said, pointing. Ami looks to see who she was pointing. The scene changes to an old African-American woman, possibly from Haiti, that looked like an older Harmony, was telling a horror story in front of a fire. "That's your grandma? Harmony, are you adopted?" Ami asked, looking at their number one fan. "No, my dad is half African-American. He just doesn't look like it. She's real nice, but she's complicated," Harmony explained with a shrug. "Unfortunately, my family's, complicated," Harmony said. "Why?" Ami asked curiously. "Truth be told, my family is into voodoo, tarot cards, and things like that. It runs in my family. My mom's a medium and my dad's a grave digger," Harmony explained in an embarrassed tone. "You're not interested in that. You are our number one fan," Ami replied. "Yeah, but my parents think it's a phase I'm going through," Harmony explained with a shrug. "Harmony, child, come here. It's almost time for your voodoo dance," an old woman's voice said, calling out to Harmony. "I'll be right there, Grandma," Harmony called back. "I gotta go. The voodoo dance is a tradition in my family. But I gotta warn you, Ami, New Orleans is not what it seems. It has terrible supernatural voodoo here, and it is also home to sinners. And if you run into a cult member, it won't be pretty," Harmony explained. "Harmony, child, come on, it's time," the voice said. "Coming, Grandma," Harmony said, running to the direction on her grandma is at. We were a bit surprised at that info. We're not surprised about New Orleans. Consider it was a town of trash, voodoo, and definitely whacked up shit like that. We were only surprised Harmony is from a family of supernatural obsessed freaks. It was confusing. Anyways, after that strange talk, the scene changes to Yumi walking out of the party while everyone was talking and having a great time. Yumi kept looking at the empty streets of New Orleans. That's when she saw the same figure from earlier. "Hey!" Yumi shouted. The figure didn't say anything. It just breathed heavily, as if catching its breath after running a marathon. It was creepy, and Todd was complaining on how it was creepy. The figure slowly turns its back to Yumi and slowly walks off into the New Orleans cemetery. The cemetery was absolutely creepy, like it was drawn by someone in some anime. Yeah, it might have been some Junji 2 vibes there. The tombs were absolutely spine-chilling. We can see a couple of bones sticking out. A raven cawed as it flew. Yumi passed by the graves while creepy sounds were heard. An owl going, "Woo!" and the trees swinging back and forth, the wind blowing, and the sounds of ghostly moaning. Yumi was in fear, but she did not show it. "Alright, Kaz, if this is some cheapskate prank, it's not funny," Yumi called out, while her back was turned. However, no sooner after her back was turned, a shadowy swiftly walked past the screen. We just jumped at it, but at the same moment, Yumi turned around to see no one. "This isn't funny," Yumi said angrily. But when she turned her back the second time, another shadow swiftly passed behind her. It happened. Another shadow behind her. Yumi turned around slowly. That is when the screen turned black, and it's also turned black. We jumped right at the fright of Yumi's blood-curdling scream. It was so loud I thought we were all going to be deaf. The screen faded into the party. It was still going, but some people already left, and Harmony and her grandmother were seen leaving the party. Ami, just who realized her friend is missing, asked around for Yumi, but no one saw her. She rushed into Harmony outside, and she asked if she had seen Yumi. "I thought she was with you," Harmony answered. "I haven't seen her. That's why I asked," Ami said. "I haven't seen her. Have you seen Grandma?" Harmony asked, looking at her grandma. "Oh, no, I haven't. I would have noticed if I did, her grandma said while shaking her head. Maybe she went back to the tour bus, Ami muttered. Well, we gotta go. I have to organize Grandma's sunken head collection. Be careful, Ami. The nighttime in New Orleans is not very friendly than it is in the daytime, Harmony said as she walked with her grandmother. Ami was about to rush to the bus, but then the doors closed behind her shut fast. Ami looked behind her before looking around for Yumi. Inside, the people at the party were confused by the door slamming, but then all of a sudden the screen faded to black. We didn't know what the hell was going on. Then it flickered, an empty, trashed-up ballroom. Everything was black and white. A second later, Yumi appeared at the entrance of the ballroom. Each time it flickered, she got closer and closer. The screen then went to black, but then Yumi appeared while her eyes were closed. Her left eye was starting to bleed. Then suddenly Yumi opened her eye, and it was black with a red glowing pupil, and she had a malicious smile. But that was creepy what she had a sharp toothy grin, like a shark's teeth. The screen turned to black, and all of a sudden, for a split second, the screen started to flash black and white as Yumi slept, appearing in different positions with a knife. A crazed laugh was heard as the sounds of slashing and stabbing and blood splattering was heard. Then it cuts to Ami again, still looking. But then she jumps at multiple screams of people inside. What's going on? Ami asked in shock. She rushed to the door to try to open it, but it wouldn't budge. The doors are stuck, Ami said in shock. The screams kept continuing, and they were screaming like they were getting attacked and scared at the same time. But that was when we saw blood splatters under the door. She gasped in fright. She was trembling in fear while her eyes widened. She looked around to see if she could see a police officer, but no one was in sight. Ami found a crowbar nearby and pried the door open. What we saw made us shake in fear, extremely sick to our stomachs. Inside was a real massacre. Yeah, from masquerade to a massacre. The area was covered in blood. Bodies were piled in different manners. A few had their entrances and internal organs yanked out. Livers, hearts, spleens, bladders, large pieces of brain, chunk of gore, and eyes scattered around and stained the red floor. Pieces of body parts were laying neatly in a row from severed arms to legs. A few heads had their tongues yanked out or cut out, while 10 of them had blood coming out of their eye sockets. Hell, even decapitated heads were placed neatly on a row on a table like pumpkins on Halloween. Todd vomited on the floor after seeing it. He complained about losing his lunch as Lainey and I held each other. What the hell is this? A producer asked, just before vomiting. You're asking the wrong guy, Todd replied while trying to recover from vomiting. The show resumed. Ami then looked like she hasn't seen anything so brutal and scary in her life. She then hesitantly walked in after she heard Yumi's voice calling to her. Yumi's voice seemed off. It sounded eerie and so freaky, like a horror film-style echo. Ami slowly entered the room, and though the blood on the floor was messing up her dress, she tried to ignore it. She kept slipping in gore and immediately disgusted at the red, mushy gore. She scampered to her feet, but after keeping panting and screaming. Then it happened. Yumi appeared in Ami's point of view. She was in the middle of it all. My dear friend, you have such lovely eyes. Mind if I see them? Yumi asked so eerily our spines were having such an enormous chill. As if it wasn't creepy enough, we were jump scared when Yumi lunged at the screen. When the screen went black, we heard Ami screaming in fear and pain, followed by a bone-crunching, blood-splattering, and gore-yanking sound. Then it happened. The screen lit up in the same bloody and gory ballroom. But it was different. Yumi appeared covered in blood, dancing with Ami's corpse. Ami looked horrid, undoubtedly dead. We can still see a little of her bone, blood, and what's worst, her eye was yanked out. Yumi was dancing in waltz style with Ami's body carcass as if nothing was wrong. I knew you wouldn't leave me. It was all in good terms, Yumi eerily said as she did dip on Ami's corpse. I experienced the darkness, and now, who needs rock and roll when you have darkness? Oh, I have a bloody solution. Isn't that right, Ami? Yumi asked the unmoving corpse. Oh yes, Yumi. I think it's a real bloody situation. Yumi mocked Ami's voice and said as if she were a puppet. Then she did something sickening. She made Ami's corpse look at her, as if in control. She sickly kissed her, but it wasn't the kind of bloody part despite being a few blood drops. Yumi bit off Ami's tongue and chunks of her tongue and blood in Yumi's mouth. She looked at the screen with a bloody and gory smile. Now I'm the goddess of darkness, Yumi said while blood and chunks of tongue was spitting out of her mouth. The screen immediately turned to black one last time as Ami's laugh was echoing in the room. Luckily, it was over. We were mortified, sickened, terrified, and also shaken by this experience. We told Sam Register about it and showed him. His face was pale as if he had seen it before. He asked us where we'd get it, and Todd explained that it was in the break room. I knew that the episode would come back to haunt me, Sam said fearfully. You knew about it? Me and Lainey asked. That was when Sam Register explained that it was supposed to be a Halloween special in 2005. But a crew he didn't know to recognize was in the set, and they took completely unusual and creepy when the police got involved. They were already disappeared. When he viewed the episode, it was the opposite of what he wanted. He spoke to the cartoon Ami and Yumi voice actresses, and they told him that for some reason they were laid off for the day. It was weird. The DVD was later locked into the vault just before Sam Register announced his leaving. Me and my girlfriend had no idea to this day. Nobody has a clue. Before Sam Register walked out, he told me and Lainey about how Harmony, being a part of her supernatural obsessed family, was the part of the episode he made, but the rest to know. And he told us about the investigation of said episode, and the creepy staff that made horrible episode was still going on screen secretly. No one was identified despite the footage. He also said he had to keep it a secret, otherwise Cartoon Network would be stained and would be tarnished off if the press got a hold of it. We thanked him for telling us before he walked out. Now Lainey and I are working at another part of Warner's studio, but we have never forgotten that horrible Puffy AmiYumi episode. If it was an episode at all. On that, my praise was AmiYumi.EXE, a Hi Puffy AmiYumi Creepypasta Lost episode written by Bad Harley Luck. My final thoughts on the story? This was actually a decent, well-made Puffy AmiYumi Creepypasta. I mean, I will say right now that it did have a few cliches that I do know that are in it, but I'm willing to excuse it because I actually can see this being the case. It's not, involving, characters, it does involve characters dying and stuff like that, but at least it's pretty messed up. I personally really do thought that it was messed up, yes, but it was still a really good episode. And the fact that, this episode was pretty much banned or something because Cartoon Network didn't want anyone to know about this episode, it actually really holds up like a whole lot. Now, excuse me. I personally do have to say that it's a really great creepypasta. I'll leave a link in the description for this story in the description box below, so if you guys are interested in, checking this story out, you can. I have to say to Harley Luck, awesome job with this story. This was pretty good. Now, I haven't narrated a Hi Puffy AmiYumi creepypasta in quite a few years, actually. I can't even remember when was the last time I narrated a story like that. But I definitely do have to say is that, well, I will say that this story actually, fits out really well done in this manner. Now, I will say it's pretty good in my opinion. I mean, well, that's just my opinion, but I know not everybody will agree with me, but, that's just, as long as you are respectful with your opinion, that's what I'm mainly trying to say. So, I definitely do have to say is that I really do enjoy this episode. I thought it was really neat and well done. I really do can see, this is something like a fan-made site would do that, so that's something I can say is that it's really neat. I mean, despite it, being like creepy and all, but it's pretty messed up. I mean, like I said, I've seen other people messed up before, so yeah, I could definitely say, I've seen worse. But this story actually really was good. And it definitely helped out, The grammar was really good about this story. I did spot maybe a few grammatical errors in this story, but the story was actually very readable, and it was definitely a lot of fun. So, I mean, I've been meaning to get to, some stories, of what I personally like, but I just haven't had the time because, to review stories because I've been very busy, especially with, the fact that my mom's getting her license back and stuff. So I'm getting some motivation to do stuff again like I usually do. So, yeah. I definitely do have to say it's a really good story. I personally like it. Now, I'm going to sit here and say right now, like I'm always going to say, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with it, that's perfectly fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas. It's just simply my own personal thoughts. I give this one a 9 out of 10. It's a really great story, despite there were the cliches that were in it, but, I personally do like this story. I thought it was really neat and well done. The grammar is pretty good, but it just needs to be fixed up at some parts because there were a few grammatical errors I did spot. But other than that, this one was actually quite good. I personally really enjoyed it. So, I guess with that being said, and with that being the case, what did you guys all personally think of this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm Shadow the Lion Queen. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and if you enjoyed this channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the notification bell to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. If you guys want to go follow me on Blue Sky, follow me on Twitter, follow me on DeviantArt, and follow me on my backup channel known as Miss Dark Shigo, as links to all those will be in the About page section, so you guys can go follow me on there. And if you guys want to, feel free to become a member, you are more than welcome to. And I guess with that being said, I'll be seeing you guys all in the next video. Peace out, and like always, roll the outro because I'm out. What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video, and I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell for notifications to when I upload, so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, stay pretty.